Civil Air Patrol is another way to be a patriot. We serve a higher calling than you oftentimes realize.
My primary interest in the Civil Air Patrol was started when I was very young. From that point on, I was devoted to Civil Air Patrol and always have been.
We're all volunteers. We're not paid for this. We give of our time, we give of our money. There's something greater than you out there.
We train good leaders to the point where the need arises for them to kind of step up and take the initiative. They're comfortable and they know how to do so properly.
If you're not doing it with that level, then we don't need to be doing it.
Just 6 days before Pearl Harbor, the Congress of the United States created the Civil Air Patrol.
And it is the mission of these young men to help keep that world free.
With the largest fleet of single-engine planes at their disposal, these patriotic patrols are now playing a key role in protecting the homeland.
The patrol's
from
pilots
above.
save an average of 100 lives every
Civil
year.
Air Patrol enables us to do
They
that.
are cadets of the Civil Air Patrol. They are part of the American contingent, the official auxiliary of the United States Air Force.
The Civil Air Patrol is the United States' premier civilian volunteer organization and remains to be one of the nation's most valuable assets. At their inception in World War II, they were defending from Maine to Mexico, reporting and bombing German U-boats. As their Air Force grew, they became an organization made up entirely of eager citizens with a desire to serve their communities and their nation. Even though their resources are few, their dedication is unwavering. They are flying Minutemen, ready to take to the skies whenever their country calls. They are always ready. The Civil Air Patrol guided rescue missions with their countless photos in the aftermath of Hurricane Sandy. During the Deepwater Horizon oil spill, they were monitoring and photographing the damage. Just days after Hurricane Katrina and Rita, they were flying missions creating high-tech mapping and imaging. The Civil Air Patrol flew the first low-level, fixed-wing aerial mission over Ground Zero following the 9/11 terrorist attacks. Today, they serve with honor. They are part of the millions of patriotic Americans ready to serve their nation at a moment's notice. Though they do not bear arms, they possess one of the largest fleets of single-engine aircraft in the world and are training the next generation of American aviation. Who are these patriots? Why do they volunteer their time and their resources? What is the spirit behind the Civil Air Patrol?
Civil Air Patrol started off as a bunch of individuals that said, we want to do something unique and we see a need. The history of Civil Air Patrol is that it has always been an agency and slowly has evolved into the group it is because the volunteers totally commit themselves 100%.
This spirit of commitment found in the members of the Civil Air Patrol is a vital part of its mission, which is supporting America's communities with emergency response, diverse aviation and ground services, youth development, and the promotion of air, space, and cyber power. This theme goes back to one of the Civil Air Patrol's oldest members, Sarah Leverett.
Of course, at the time, the atmosphere in the air, of course, was extremely patriotic. It was World War II, and it was quite a period of patriotic fervor, as I said, that you rarely see anymore. My primary interest in the Civil Air Patrol was started when I was very young. There was no Civil Air Patrol at that time, but when I was very young, I became very interested in the two major aviation people, Charles Lindbergh and Amelia Earhart. I became a rather hero worshiper of the two of them, and it lasted. As time went on, I went to law school, graduated, and was looking for, trying to get into the Women's Air Force. And the Air Force would not take me because of my stature. I was too short. And I turned to a friend of mine who was with the Civil Air Patrol. He helped me get into the patrol and to get started. We were members, and so from that point on, I was devoted to Civil Air Patrol and always have been. It was fun, and it was tough. It's not easy, and I found that out very quickly. That I suppose probably the thing that I took away from the Civil Air Patrol when I finally left was sore feet, because we were drilling so much. But my experience was the camaraderie, the pleasure and the enjoyment that everybody who was in the patrol, no matter what we were doing, we drilled regularly, and no matter what we were doing, whether we were flying or whether we were maybe having a bite to eat together, it was such a friendly camaraderie group, and everybody in it. And this struck me, being the only woman. Every male I found in the Civil Air Patrol was a gentleman, but they did not just tolerate me, they accepted me. That was a new experience for me, because women were not accepted in any military and very little in any other areas, so that impressed me a great deal. I would say that there is sort of instilled in most citizens a feeling of service. I have always said that freedom does not come free. Freedom brings with it responsibility. And to me, one of the responsibilities is service, however you choose to give it.
A spirit of service and patriotism is evident in Sarah Leverett's life. The Civil Air Patrol fosters this kind of thinking and continues to teach it to all their members through their core values: integrity, volunteer service, excellence, and respect. This is part of what's kept the Civil Air Patrol going for more than 70 years.
Well, they're up here on the wall. These are our core values. The core values of integrity, volunteer service, excellence, and then what the respect is the key part. By number one, being solid integrity, by making sure we maintain the highest level of integrity, by doing our volunteer service, by our doing the respect for each other. By holding those true, then we garner not only the respect from the outside community, but from each other.
It is evident that the Civil Air Patrol not only teaches aviation, but it also teaches leadership and character. This is most prevalent in their cadet program. The Civil Air Patrol Cadet Program is an opportunity for young people between the ages of 12 and 21 to participate and to learn about aviation, search and rescue, military customs, and community service.
The Civil Air Patrol helps young people get into more leadership skills and teamwork, and just helps them build character. You can be a mentor, you can be e-services officer, and through this Civil Air Patrol, I have gained so much.
The Civil Air Patrol Cadet Program is really the core, in my opinion, of what Civil Air Patrol is all about. The Cadet Program is the program by which we bring young people in, and we give them a sense of what, number one, what the Air Force might be like, but more importantly than that, the Cadet Program teaches them an appreciation of many aspects of the aerospace world. Not only from the very basic foundations of what lift and drag is as far as in an aircraft sense and the laws of flight, but from engine development, from the computer aspect, from the principles of communication involved in aerospace and in aviation, as well as the necessary chain of command and the responsibilities at every level.
Robert Sand is one of the many that have a spirit of service and a hunger for learning. Cadet Captain Sand is a leader in his squadron and an example of what an excellent leader looks like.
So I was born in Kerala, India, which is at the very southern tip of India. I was adopted at a little over a year old. My mother was in the military, she was in the Navy, and all my relatives, a lot of them were in the military, and that's kind of why I've always enjoyed and had a very, I've always aspired to be in the military or something like that. I was actually in the car driving out of my neighborhood with my mom and my sister, and she brought up Silver Air Patrol, and that next year I was able to join, and she told me that, you'd be able to fly, and it's a military organization, and immediately in my mind, like, oh, I'm going to be flying like fighter jets and whatnot, because that's how an 11-year-old mind works. Because I joined at 12 and went through all, the ranks, I'm still going through the ranks. It started off as, I was a follower, I didn't really know how to lead or anything like that. And when I came to Greenville Composite Squadron after I moved, pretty much right when I got my NCO rank, my first sergeant rank, I was given a staff position, which I wasn't ready for. So it was a learning process. So not only was I learning how to be a leader, I was teaching people under me at the same time. So I look back and I kind of see the progression from me being a follower to me getting into a new leadership position, and then kind of growing and maturing from there to where I am now, where I'm kind of the second in command of 60 cadets.
There is a theme to be noted between Sarah Leverett and Robert Sand. Leverett possesses a spirit of optimism for mankind and a spirit of volunteerism and excellence. She has become a beacon for not only the Civil Air Patrol, but also for the world. Robert Sand is also not only an example to his peers in the Civil Air Patrol, but he is also an example to young people as he lives out a love for learning and for leadership. It is really interesting to think about the Civil Air Patrol as an organization that teaches excellence, but one of the things that the organization is most famous for is its involvement in aviation. In talking to Civil Air Patrol members, aviation evokes nostalgia.
When I went up and I was it felt a little queasy, and the next thing you know, I was ass sick. And I said, this won't do. Not for somebody who loves the Air Force and loves aviation the way I do. It never happened again. I don't know why. I think I just made sure it wouldn't happen again.
If I could put one word to flying, it's freedom. That's it in a nutshell.
It was just, wow. I can see almost everything. And then you go back down and you're like, okay, I can see like the trees over there. But when you're up in the air, you can see almost literally everything. This is what flying is like, seeing almost everything.
You're not just sitting in the back of the plane and watching. You're not sitting in, the co-pilot seat just looking out. You're meant to have fun with them, but you're also meant to learn. So it's not, the entire hour you're flying, you're just goofing off, but you're also learning a lot of information.
As we look at when I bring someone in and when I interview someone for Civil Air Patrol, a lot of people come in, they say, well, I want to join Civil Air Patrol because I want to fly. This is not a flying club. Civil Air Patrol is not a club for people just to get extra hours on their ticket. Civil Air Patrol is an organization to where you can be involved in aviation regardless of what skill sets you are. It all comes back to our core, and that's encouraging people to get involved in aviation.
Aviation is such an integral part of the Civil Air Patrol, as it encourages members to preserve the American tradition of private aviation. The Civil Air Patrol was founded based off of a need of civil defense. Today, it lives on for much more. The spirit of the volunteers in the Civil Air Patrol is that of giving back. Arguably, the Civil Air Patrol's main purpose is to give back to the next generation. It all started with the Flying Minutemen, and it continues on by inspiring young aviators.
Back when I was in, it was fairly new. It was vital at the time I was in it to a certain purpose. We were mostly military. But it has become actually a vital part of the military today, an extremely important part of the military. The efficiency and the reach, and I think the mission has become broader. I'm impressed with the disaster work that Civil Air Patrol does today. Number one, it's badly needed today. And number two, it fills a bill that a lot of other things do not fill. So I think that to me, one of the greatest changes has been its education mission and its direction that it gives to young people. And it's taking young people in to do the things that are productive, to become worthwhile citizens and so forth. It gives purpose.
That people constantly throughout American history have given the utmost. And we've lost people in Civil Air Patrol due to crashes, during missions, during to events. In the early days of Civil Air Patrol, we lost people. But it doesn't make us quit. It just gives us a reason to keep going forward. So, there you go.
Life is generational. Whatever we create in young people today is what the future's going to be. And that, to me, is one of the most important changes.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the